Hello and welcome to Daily Spark with Dr. Angela, where we enlighten, inspire, and empower you to become your best self. The tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And that's what we want to do today. We want to fire you up. Today we are talking about powerful communication, the ups and downs of social media branding. Our special guest today is Germany Kent, and you can find her online at germanykent.com. Kent talks about manifesting power on social media and becoming a person of value and influence through digital branding. She also speaks to the negative aspect of social media that we must learn to deal with, and that is cyberbullying. Through her campaign, You Are What You Tweet, the author dishes on powerful tips that we all can do to aid in the redirection of online bullying. So let me tell you a little bit more about our guest, Germany Kent. She is a multi-talented powerhouse. The social media etiquette pundit is also an award-winning and best-selling author, inspirational speaker, and is a positivity magnet, dubbed the Hope Guru. Germany's expertise has been featured on NPR, Inc. magazine, Fast Company, Yahoo Business, CBS, The CW, NBC, and Fox, just to name a few. As an entertainment journalist, Germany has interviewed over 200 celebrities, including Oscar, Golden Globe, and Grammy-winning artists, powerful politicians, sports stars, and business moguls. Germany is a print and commercial model who's been featured in commercials for companies such as Nike, eHarmony, Target, Verizon, Chase, AT&T, and Disney. As a social media influencer, Germany has been named top 100 experts to follow and top 100 in social media marketing. As an activist, she works to end bullying and cyberbullying and is a champion for mental health awareness. Germany has been inducted into the North Panola Hall of Fame, a merit she earned based on her lifetime achievements. Germany recently received a Global Philanthropy Award for Empowerment from Empowerment Magazine for her advocacy on volunteerism and her tireless humanitarian efforts. So without any further ado, I am going to bring Germany Kent in the room with us. Hello, Germany. How are you? Thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Angela. I am just so happy to be a part of what you're doing, and just really it's an honor to be a part of a show that's making a difference and changing lives and putting that spark out there saying, hey, we want to be a show that makes a difference. So I commend you on that, and I'm just grateful that you asked me to take part.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. And that's such kind words. Thank you so much for that as well. You know, I love talking about social media. It is something that is happening right now in that it is always changing. It is something that is always current. We talk about being in the moment of now, and social media is definitely in the moment of now. We remember a life without social media, without cell phones, and boy, has technology grown, you know?
That's right.
So in learning how to be on this new platform called social media, some people don't know what that is. So when I ask you the question of how do you brand yourself on social media, can you also give us kind of a brief understanding of what is this term social media in the first place?
Absolutely. Social media is a viral platform where you can take your message and have a great impact on those who follow whatever that message is. And when you start talking about branding on social media, you're a brand, I'm a brand, we're all brands, whether we aim to be a brand or not. And I think that's something that people have to understand is that once you start to build your digital platform, you then become a spokesperson for yourself. And social media is one of the keys, if not the biggest key, to managing your personal brand online. And I always tell people that personal branding is merely a way of selling yourself, and it's never been more important now thanks to social media. I mean, it's given us this wonderful platform to broadcast all our personal messages and accomplish our goals. I know a lot of people use it for business. Some professionals use it to spread their awareness for different nonprofits or different things that they're involved in. And, you know, I'm a big Twitter person, but let's not just limit it to Twitter. I'm talking about LinkedIn and Facebook and Pinterest and Instagram, and all these different platforms are there available for you to express your creative side and say, hello, world, I've made it. You know, and it's fair to say that the personal brand was born on social media because, as you say, this is kind of all new now with social media coming into play these last few decades. When I was growing up, we didn't have that. And so, you know, you kind of had to build a platform the old-fashioned way through the yellow pages and, you know, get your Rolodex out and contact people. But now, it's so, everything now is so accessible. It's just right there on social media. And I feel like if you're doing things the right way and you're reaching the right people, there is no limit to what you can grow as far as your personal brand, and then become an expert at what you're doing because you're putting your message out there. And it's vital to understand that your personal brand strategy is going to stay with you forever. So be mindful when you first start building what type of brand you want to establish online. That is the most important thing. Begin with the end in mind.
I love how you say that. Begin with the end in mind, which I want to ask this question next, and that is, well, how do we mix our personal and professional communication? Should we have separate accounts? Is it okay to have one account? And, you know, how do I make sure that Angela versus Dr. Angela, the brand, don't cross or mix? Or is it okay to mix?
You know, that's a very good question. I just would say always use your personal brand as a guide whenever you're engaging on social media, and consider always that your professional life is not too far removed from your personal life. And to that, I would say to always be consistent, because whether someone is following you on your personal account as, let's just say, at Germany Kent, or if they're following one of your business professional accounts, which would be like a Germany Kent book or Germany Kent news or something, you just want to make sure that the important factor is always consistency, that you're not going back on who you are as a person, because ultimately it's character that you're building as well. It's your integrity that's out there online, and post by post, picture by picture, moment by moment, your brand is a growing process, and you have to make sure that everything is relevant to the person that you are, and that person should be reflected online, should be the same as the person when people meet you offline. And I don't know if you got that. I want to say that again, because I need the listeners to understand, whenever somebody meets you in person, your brand online needs to be consistent with the type of person that you are day to day. It should be a reflective image of the person that they know, whether that's your coworkers, your church members, people at Trader Joe's, wherever you go, you should take that. No, I'm serious. You should take that light with you. And you're laughing, but you know what I have found, and this is a study that I've been doing recently with people that have passed away. Whenever someone passes away, like the young lady that we just lost with this Charlottesville stuff that just happened. Yes. Jennifer, somebody, I can't think of her last name right off, but I prayed for that child and her mother. And whenever somebody passes away, the first thing that we do now is we go to their social media feeds and see what was the last thing that they posted. And so if you don't feel as though your message is important and that people are paying attention, you need to leave a legacy behind so that if you get off this earth today, people are going to go back to your social media feeds and they're going to be looking at what kind of things was she posting when she was here? What type of person was she? And that then becomes your legacy, what you left behind. It's so interesting. Heather Heyer was her name, the young lady that got killed with the Charlottesville stuff. I just wanted to make that correction because it's not Jennifer or somebody. I want to get her name right because that child, her legacy needs to be upheld because of the way that she lost her life. And, you know, if we're going to make a difference, we need to start with these national tragedies and different things that's happening. And I think it's so important for you to have a voice and to say the way that you feel about things when situations arise, and to speak further to the personal and professional. You have views in your personal life, and professionally, don't we talk in the conference room when we're at our jobs, in the break room? Don't we go behind the scenes and we share how we feel? We're either saddened by things or we're angered by things. And so I think that to make you more of a person who's real, and people like real people, they like people that's relatable, I think you are absolutely within your confine to express the way that you feel about things, especially when it comes to national tragedies and different things of that sort. And I believe if you do not denounce or agree to whatever it is, whether you're in support of or you are against, you have to have some kind of a stance on something. People need to know where you stand on the issues. And I think that's one of the things that we really hold our politicians to and our religious leaders. We need to know, you know, without any kind of question whatsoever. We want you to be transparent because we need to know where you stand on certain issues, because that in itself allows you to know who you want to follow. You know, and I say to anybody, try to make your brand a way so that you're connected with like-minded people. That is the single most important thing. If you're real and you put out who you really are, you're going to attract those types of people to you. That's what you get back what you put out. I don't care what it is. And so the more you put out is what you get. The better person you become, the better people will be attracted to you, period.
That is so true. And it's just absolutely amazing how God will send confirmation so many times. When you were saying that, you know, your brand precedes you, your light shines ahead of you. And I laughed because I just did a college prep course on Saturday. And one of the things that I mentioned was, who are you on social media? Because people are looking to see who you are on social media. So what you're saying and how you are saying what you're saying is so vital and so important. So if you're wondering why you can't land that particular job or you didn't get into that school that you wanted to get into, that your social media may have an influence on the outcome of your life, and that that is our personal brand. And you hit the nail on the head when you said that. So I am a firm believer that nothing is happenstance, that things happen the way that they're supposed to happen, and that if we open our eyes and open our ears, that God will show us, and that he will give us that confirmation so many times in so many different ways. Well, listeners, we need to take a very short break, but when we get back, don't worry, we are going to continue this conversation with Germany Kent on powerful communication, the ups and downs of social media branding. We'll be back right after this. And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela, where we enlighten, inspire, and empower you. Well, today's guest is Germany Kent, and you can find her online at germanykent.com. We are talking about powerful communication today, the ups and downs of social media branding. Now, like Germany said earlier, she's a Twitter person. I happen to be a Twitter person. But what we do on social media, regardless of the platform, has an impact on our world. So we know the things that other people say has an impact on us. So surely the things that we say will have an impact on other people. So, Germany, my next question is, and we used to hear the word transparency a lot. We don't hear it as much as we used to, but it's still a really important word in our communication with others. So how important is transparency when it comes to social media? How transparent should we be?
I think, Dr. Angela, you have to be tactical, and it has to be a strategic approach. Everything needs to reflect your values and not necessarily the culture, because I think sometimes people tend to tweet or post or share things based on it being of humor or, it being a popular tweet, and so they'll just go ahead and keep it going. And you have to understand that if it's your strategy to have a leadership component with your brand and to send out communication that you are a professional individual, you have to be mindful of the things that you post, repost, share, retweet, however you want to say it. You have to be very mindful at all times of the results, because you can be penalized for it, and you are responsible for everything that you tweet, everything that you retweet, everything that you post, everything that you share, everything that you put up and out on social media goes up into a cloud, and that cloud is available and accessible information that can be then retrieved by employers, universities, recruiters, you name it. There are so many people who are able to assess the things that you are put out on social media. And let me tell you this, just for whoever is listening, the fact is, since 2006, every single public tweet that is tweeted is archived digitally at the Library of Congress. And every single media thing that's put out is archived somewhere. Even though they're not saying that to you, people can retrieve the stuff that you have written online and stuff that you have shared. And I do know for a fact that police work with outside vendors in order to look at different profiles, and that's how they catch criminals, because people put too much out on social media. They may rob somebody and have the jewelry on and then flaunt that online, and so that is then how the police goes and arrest that person, because they had enough nerve to post something on social media that they stole. And it's just like, you have to be mindful of that. If you are doing some twerking videos on Snapchat and you think you want to be admitted into the sorority with these videos that's out there that's not ladylike, then we're not going to look at you as a candidate that has a professional image. And everything is about image. Like, really, your social media profiles that's your resume. That's what people look at to assess who you are as an individual. And I hate to say that, because some people may be very different from who they are on social media, which I have come to believe that is not the case. I think we really post who we are. And I often say, if you want to learn something about somebody, follow their social media posts, because it's who they are. People will tell you who they are in their social media posts. No matter what it is, you can learn a lot from people if you just read and see their videos and different things. You'll see if this is a motivational individual or if this is a messy individual. And it is so important that in the back of your mind, you're always conscious of the things that you put out on social media. I cannot stress it enough. In fact, a few months ago, I was appalled that Harvard actually rejected some students, and the reason why I was appalled is because I thought about those parents and how upset they must have been. It takes a lot of work to raise children, and I have 3. I have 2 teenagers and 1 school-age child, so I feel like as a parent I can speak to this. We work hard to impart things in our kids and to be able to get them into different situations so that they can grow and be responsible adults. And Harvard, they actually looked at some of these kids' social media profiles, and they had some stuff on there that was inappropriate, and they thought that it was not leadership material. And at least 10 of them, their admission was revoked, just like that. And so can you imagine getting all these good grades during high school, thinking you're going to one of the best colleges, and then boom, bam, and in May and over the summer, because of some ignorance that you posted on social media or something that was very inappropriate that speaks to your character, you were then disinvited. You were uninvited to come. Say, no, we don't want you a part of our alumni. Nobody like this. You cannot come. If your values are such as this, we don't want you. We don't want you on our team. That's essentially what they said. And so you have to be mindful of that. And I just would love for students to know, and grown people too, everybody, whomever is listening, you are what you tweet. I mean, that's my platform that I put out there, and it's not just what you tweet. You are what you post. And to go a little further, think before you post. Always think about it. Just think about it.
Most definitely, because I think that's something that's that some people just kind of miss that step. They're so passionate about the moment that they don't think about the consequence. Which I'm so glad that you also brought in the adult factor, which leads me to this question: do you think that it is okay to be an advocate, to be socially responsible when it comes to the causes or the philanthropy side of you? Is it okay to do that as well, or do you think that we should kind of keep that for something that's offline?
Absolutely. I think that we should definitely be in the process of reshaping the message. And I specifically believe that each one of us are advocates for something. And I just have always felt like if you don't stand up for something, then you're just letting your life pass you by. You're surviving. You're not thriving. And every day we have an opportunity, Dr. Angela, to get out and make a difference. And if that's online, wonderful. Offline is great too, but no matter where you are, you're planted there for a reason. So if you have a voice online, then you should use your voice to impact people and spread, a message about something that you're passionate about. I absolutely believe that we each have a message inside of us, and that we each have a social responsibility to put forth that effort to make sure that the outreach then is provided to people, because everybody has an audience. It's just you do have a voice. No matter if you think you do or not, you have a voice. If you're saying something and people are liking your messages or retweeting it, or, no matter what your message is, we each have a message and we have something that we bring to the table. And diversity is good. And so the more you accept that, the more of a digital citizen you become in terms of respecting other people's values. And that's where you then start to highlight the social networking and how powerful it is, because everybody does have a voice, and everybody's voice is important.
I like how you said, we are all digital citizens, and that what we say is really important, which I want you to talk a little bit more about this awesome thing that you're doing. And I know we only have about 5 minutes before we need to go to break, but you are shining a light on something that is extremely important, and that is cyberbullying. Yes, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, there's still bullying, the regular form of bullying that we're aware of, but the cyberbullying, now that there is an additional platform. Germany, I know that you've been working on that, and the effect that it has on especially our teen population. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. And I just signed on a few months ago to do the forward for a book that they have out now, Women of Faith, and it is the teen edition, Bully and Cyberbullying Prevention. And these young ladies have gotten together to tell their stories on how they have either been bullied or they've been a victim of cyberbullying. And it is so impactful because these are youth telling their stories. And I'm just a witness of how it has just all become this cesspool, if you will, of madness on the Internet. And I am not in agreement with it, and I think it is totally inappropriate. And my thing is, like I said, we all have this responsibility, and we have a responsibility with the words that we post on the Internet. And if you wouldn't want your mother, your daughter, your sister, or friend to read it, just don't post it. The thing about it is freedom of speech, Dr. Angela, doesn't justify online bullying. Words have power. So we have to be careful how we use them. And what's so alarming to me is the fact that last year, 4,500 students committed suicide. And that's directly related to cyberbullying. And then when you start talking about kids who've been impacted, 76% of kids say that they have witnessed somebody being cyberbullied. 45% of them say that they have been a victim of cyberbullying themselves. So when you start looking at these numbers and you see how much this is really impacting our youth, everybody really should be involved in saying, you know what, let me watch what I put out on the Internet, because am I a part of the problem or am I a part of the solution? And at the end of the day, that's a question that we have to ask society. Are you helping to build up youth, or are you helping to tear them down? Because some of the things that are being said on the Internet are totally inappropriate. And I think especially as leaders, we have to take a stand and say, you know what, this is totally unacceptable. People's feelings are getting hurt, but not only that, people are losing their lives over this bullying that's being widely spread, through the phone. The phone now has become a weapon. And that's something, I tell my kids that the phone is a weapon, because the way that it all started for me, one of my son's friends actually was writing stuff to him, sending him some text messages on the phone, dude, you're stupid. Oh, dude, you're crazy. And nobody likes you and stuff like that. And I said, who is this kid? And I said, oh, no, we can't get messages from him. And so basically we put him on a distance from that child, if you will. And then I took his phone away because I didn't want him to have communications with that child. And so I had noticed a decline in his self-esteem. His self-confidence went down. And it was because somebody was telling him 2 or 3 times a day, dude, you're not important. Nobody loves you. Go jump in the river and stuff like that. You don't tell people that constantly. And so that's what our kids are experiencing. People are making jokes and making light of something that's very serious, because you don't know what those kids are dealing with aside from that 1 or 2 negative comments that's coming in telling them that they're not good enough. And if they don't have anything to channel that, then they're going to feel as though they're not good enough. So it's our job to lift our youth up, to let them know you are important. You do matter.
Well, listeners, we need to take a very short break, but when we get back, we're going to continue this conversation about powerful communication, the ups and downs of social media branding. We'll be back right after this. And we are back. Thank you so much for joining me for Daily Spark with Dr. Angela, where we enlighten, inspire, and empower you to become your best self. Today's guest is Germany Kent of GermanyKent.com, and we are talking about powerful communication, the ups and downs of social media branding. Now, before we went to break, we were talking about this thing called cyberbullying. If you are not familiar, just think of the traditional sense of bullying, but now it's on the internet, hence the name cyberbullying. So, Germany, my question is, what do you believe is the number one thing that can be done to draw attention to and prevent some of this cyberbullying that's been going on, because we hear about it on the news and how it is not only affecting our teens but the families as well, just like your personal story. So what do you think of some things that can be done to help prevent this?
I think awareness and education, those are two of the most important things that can be done. But I want to go back real quick if I can. I want to tell you one day I was speaking at an event, and after the session was over, a mom came up to me and she said, I wish I had taken my son's phone away. And she said, my kid is one of the ones that you were talking about. He took his own life. And she said, wow. So I know those statistics are real, what you're talking about. She said, and I just wish that, we had paid attention. She said, I wish I had taken his phone sooner. And, I wish I had seen it. She said, I didn't see it. And she said, I saw my child acting different, but I didn't know what it was. And she said, and when we got his phone back, once he took his life, she said, I saw on there where somebody told him that he should go and kill himself. And she said that, she just wished she had known, and, people had been talking about it, and she just commended me for speaking out about it. And she said she wanted to help. She said that she now has a yearly program that she does for him. It's a kind of a memorial where people come out, and their kids, unfortunately, though, have also been through the same thing that she went through. And so my thing is, before it gets to that point, let's try to make it so widely known that we can drastically reduce the number of suicides by our youth and, get it down to where there are none, because it's so broadly known that that's just not something we should be doing as a society. This whole thing, to me, with cyberbullying, the sharing and posting the videos and the photos and, just being cruel and the intention of being cruel or violent. A lot of people don't understand that, it's the nature of the things that you post, especially when you post something about somebody that's sexual or, displays some type of violent, sexual behavior, something that's a threat that is a physical harm towards a person, telling them to kill themselves. And that could be email, text, or social media. The phone texting. We just saw a few weeks ago a young lady was actually sentenced for texting her boyfriend, telling him to go ahead and kill himself, and they gave her time in jail for that. And that's an unprecedented case. That's one of the things that I was just kind of like, they are making an example of this young lady because, they need to let it be known that this is happening more often than we want to acknowledge. And so somebody needs to pay the price now for going to tell someone else to kill yourself. That's manslaughter. You cannot do that. And so the other thing is, attacking a person online, and that could be based on their physical appearance, their religion, their sexuality, their mental ability. These are just things that, in my opinion, are just not acceptable. They're just not. And so we have to then take a stand and educate people to let them know that even though cyberbullying is online, the effects of it are still the same as bullying that you would see, day to day, face to face. It's still the same. It has the same types of effects. And so I think the more we educate people and the more we make them aware of the staggering statistics, they then become like knowledgeable and want to do something about it. At least the people that I've gone to when I've spoken at different events and things, they've been receptive to learning more about it and how can I learn more information, and I want to get involved because, this is just not something that needs to continue.
Mm-hmm. Well,
and I want to say this real quick, if I can, just because people need to know that Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat are the 3 most popular social media platforms for teens. And Facebook in itself has been categorized as a bully hub because so many teens are on there and they're saying things and posting things that are just so freely they're posting things. And so that's one of the biggest platforms. And so if you really want to monitor, begin with Facebook. So I tell parents, begin with Facebook and then bring it down to, Snapchat and Instagram. And then a lot of people have their feeds going to different ones at the same time. And so then you can look at Twitter and see what's going on over there. But Facebook is the main one. And you don't have to be on there as yourself. Like I tell parents, create a false account if you want to see what your kid is doing, because they may accept you as a friend if their account is private, and then see what they're posting. Just keep tabs on them. That's one of the biggest things. If we as parents become more involved and interested and see, what's actually going on behind the scenes, then we can step up and say, hey, that's not appropriate because that could potentially hurt you in the long run because your kid may be the bully. That's one thing I tell parents, and we don't want to hear that. A lot of people don't want to hear that. But it's very possible if you're not monitoring what your child is doing online that they could potentially be the one that's telling someone else to kill themselves.
That is so true. And I think someone right now went like, oh, my goodness, I never thought of it, from that perspective. So what are some things that our teens or our youth can do if they are being cyberbullied? What should their first steps be?
Don't blame yourself. That's the first thing that I always tell people, kids, when they talk to me. Don't blame yourself for it, because if someone is treating you unfairly, you don't have to accept that. Just know that you have power and control over your own life, and you don't have to be somebody's victim. And one of the things that you have to do is, and this is going to seem really kind of, for some people, really you don't say anything. Don't retaliate with more cyberbullying. Just ignore it if you can. But I will say you can block them if you don't want to receive their texts or, their messages, because bullies are always looking for a reaction. And when they attack a person, if you don't turn the cheek, then, they can go away. It's like they say, oh, well, she ain't going to be bothered with it. We can't mess with Dr. Angela with this. She's not, she's not dealing with this nonsense. Then they'll go on. And so, that's one thing. But if the cyberbullying is getting out of hand and it feels like it's too much for you to handle, then you have to talk to a trusted adult and ask for advice. And the other thing is, it's so important to keep a record of cyberbullying in the case that you decide to report it to authorities, because sometimes, and especially with the situation with the young lady that was convicted a few weeks ago, his mom and his aunt, they had records of different conversations that these people, they had. And so that's really important, because with the proof of cyberbullying directly on your phone or on your computer, it's easy to prove that you've been threatened and attacked, by a cyberbully. So that's real important. And then, obviously you can report the offensive behavior to Facebook or to Twitter or to Instagram or those administrative people behind that actual social media platform. But hopefully, if you just ignore it from the beginning and don't retaliate, they'll go away. If not, you have to tell somebody. You have to do it. And then, my thing, too, is don't be a stand back witness of it. If you see cyberbullying, don't become a part of it. Don't share the post, the text, the images, or the videos that hurt other people. Just take a stand against it and say, you know what, that's foolishness. I may have been invited to it, but I don't have to show up to that. I'm not dealing with that. And then support the person who's being bullied. You know, take the time to listen to them. Let them know it's not their fault. People need to know that it's not their fault. This is just the way that some people are. They just attack like that. And so even if you're not friends with that person, you can still reach out to them and make a note and just say, hey, this is highly inappropriate and this is not the platform for that. You know, I think that we should treat everybody fair and everybody's opinion matters. And, you know, this is just be nice. If you don't want to say anything else, you can just put those two words, be nice. Be nice. So that is the biggest thing. But certainly you have to take a stand to say this is not appropriate.
Most definitely. Well, Germany, thank you so much for being on the show with us and sharing your wisdom, for sharing both professionally and personally what has happened to make you an advocate for something that is really and truly touching the lives of others. The statistics that you gave are just kind of mind-blowing, that this is what's happening in our world right now, and that we really do need to take a very active stance against cyberbullying. Well, I want to make sure for those who have perhaps come in a little bit later in the show, can you make sure that our listeners know how to get in contact with you?
Absolutely. I'm at Germany Kent. That's at Germany Kent. And then GermanyKent.com. You can find me there, and I look forward to hearing from some of you. And I do want to make this note real quick that proper manners on the Internet requires consideration for others, Dr. Angela, and never forgetting that at the other end of the connection is a real person.
Oh, that was beautiful. On the other end is a real person. That's so true. That is so, so true. Well, listeners, thank you so much. There's no better way to end the show than to remember that we are all human beings. We are all brothers and sisters in Christ, and that there is a human being on the other end of your message. And as always, may the Lord continue to shine his face upon you. Have an awesome week, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Have a great week, everyone. Bye-bye.